But welcome everyone. My name is Mary Beth Fleming, and this is one of my favorite calls that we offer within our Purium community. It's really just a time every week to come together and connect as a community to educate ourselves on healthy living and lifestyle and talk about this wonderful box that has brought us all together. This is called the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation. And on these calls, we kind of dive into how this box and the nutrition within this box is supportive for our bodies, our energy, our brain, and just our overall vitality. So that's actually the topic of today's call is aliveness. And before we kind of dive into it, you guys can just answer this question in the chat, but I'm curious, have you ever met someone and they looked healthy, but they didn't really seem alive? If you know what I mean, drop a yes in the chat. Um, and then maybe you've met someone who, when they walk in the room, there's just this spark about them, right? There's this vitality, this aliveness, just something that you're like, wow, that person is alive. Drop a yes if you've encountered that in your life as well. And to me, that's a lot of what embodies the Purium community when we actually get together at convention and in spaces where we're together at events, at superfood socials. There's so many people that are just vibrating, and you can just see it in their eyes and their bodies like, wow, that person is really energetically alive. So today, I want to talk about what actually creates that on an internal level. And I think I can probably say this that most of us, when we wake up in the morning, there's this feeling of like, today I want to feel more alive. Today I want to give more to life. Go ahead and drop a two if you've ever thought that when you wake up in the morning. Maybe you want to be more present. Maybe you want to have more clarity. Maybe you want to have more energy. Maybe you just want to be more like yourself, right? So, a lot of that energy can actually come from the food that we are eating and the nutrients that our body is absorbing. So, the body isn't actually made up of the food we eat, it's made up of the food we absorb, of the food that is converted to what we'll talk about is called ATP, that our cells use as energetic fuel. And every single day, our cells are taking inventory in our body. There are over trillions of cells in our body, and they're taking inventory. Do we have enough amino acids? Do we have enough minerals? Do we have enough healthy fats? Do we have enough antioxidants? Do we have enough phytonutrients? Do we have, enough restoration, enough sleep, inside of our structure to maintain and stay alive? And there's something called ATP, which is basically the energetic currency of the body. And it isn't made from willpower, it's made from the raw materials that we give to the body. So here's something that I think is pretty fascinating. Um, Everything in your body requires ATP. Like everything, our skin is made up of cells, our hair, our brain. So thinking requires ATP. Healing requires ATP. Detoxification requires ATP. Digestion requires ATP. Building muscle requires ATP. Even blinking our eyes and yawning requires ATP. And so ATP is essentially the energy molecule that powers every cell in our body. So when you hear someone say, I'm exhausted, or I have brain fog, or I can't focus, or I feel like I'm dragging through the day. Sometimes what they're really describing is a body that is struggling to create enough cellular energy. Not because it's lazy, not because they're just getting older, not because they're doing life wrong, but because the cells don't have enough raw material to create energy efficiently. And so that is where Purium shines. The minerals and all of the greens that we consume, the amino acids and the superaminos, the healthy fats and the alpha omega, the antioxidants and the phytonutrients and the dark berry protein shake that we consume, the gut supporting minerals and the biomedic, they're all working together to provide the body with the energy and ingredients it needs to create ATP. And that's why we are such a fan of the box as a whole unit, because all of the ingredients are working synergistically to create more of that ATP for your cells. So I like to think of ATP as like the body's currency. Purium is helping us make deposits into that cellular bank account every single day when we consume it. And when those accounts become replenished, people will notice, right? I have more energy. I have more capacity. I have more patience. I have more focus. I have more resilience, maybe more creativity, maybe more joy, maybe just feeling more alive, right? So when we are consuming Purium superfoods, we are actually delivering nutrients to the body that the cells need to create that kind of energy, that alive energy. And one of the biggest reasons that Purium stands out in the cellular energy department is because of the way it's grown in nutrient-dense soils. When you look at most nutrition products today, they're heavily processed, right? They're usually heated, they're usually stripped down, maybe they rebuild it, they isolate it in a lab. But Purium starts with this idea. What if we protect the life in the food so we can protect the life in our bodies, right? What if we preserve as much vitality in the food as possible? What if we respect the intelligence of nature and let the body do the rest? That truly is the Purium philosophy. So go ahead and drop maybe like a one in the chat if this is resonating, if you understand what I'm saying, if you can relate to this cellular energy topic. Yes. Okay, good. Um, so when we look at something like the power shake, right? That's something we consume every single day in the ULT. Those greens were not blasted with extreme temperatures. They are all really low temperature, low heat dehydrated between 60 and 80 degrees. They're dehydrated via wind and solar dehydration. And the reason for this is to preserve the living enzymes and the minerals in the food. When we do this, we're preserving the life in the food, and that life is then converted into the ATP our cells need to thrive, right? So, Power Shake in our community has literally been coined or given the name liquid sunshine because it brings light into our bodies through all of the living food and all of the chlorophyll rich foods. And when we have light in our body, we have more cellular energy, right? So maybe you have noticed when you're on your ULT consistently that you actually feel more alive. Maybe you feel more light in your body, in your mood, in your clarity. And it's because all of the nutrients within the ULT are really supporting that life force of your cells. The building blocks for neurotransmitters in our body with the amino acids, right? We need those for building muscle, for recovery, for repair, for resilience. We need healthy fats and adaptogens and brain supporting mushrooms and endocrine supporting herbs to really feel fully alive. And the Biomedic, this is probably the biggest standout product in the entire box because what it is doing is it is actually supporting us to absorb those nutrients so that we can get the toxicities out that are maybe, glyphosate and herbicides and preservatives that are inhibiting absorption, and we're getting those out so that we can better absorb the nutrients to create more of that ATP. And honestly, I actually think Sleep Nightly, drop a two in the chat if you love Sleep Nightly, because I absolutely do. I think it maybe is one of the most under maybe talked about products in the whole system because we live in a culture that glorifies doing more, right? But really, when the body comes alive, it's not through doing more action or doing more. It comes alive when it's replenished, when it's recovered, right? It's not coming alive through constant output. And that's what Sleep Nightly really supports. It's that deep restoration, and deep, deep replenishment of the body. So, I think what I've probably noticed the most over the last 7 years of being in this community and taking these superfoods on a daily basis is that transformation isn't really about becoming someone new or something new. It's about removing what's getting in the way of who you've always been, returning more to that childlike state. If you think of a child, they have so much cellular energy running through their bodies because they haven't had all the years of stress, right? And the years of bad eating and whatever it is. They haven't had a ton of life to bring that aliveness down. And their bodies heal really quickly. If you've ever noticed kids, I mean, when they get a scratch, it usually heals really quickly. And adults as well, but sometimes it can take us longer to recover, right? And that's a sign that we have less ATP in our cells. So, what we're really talking about today is getting back to that childlike state through the food that we're ingesting. So, what I'm really curious to hear from you all is when you think of the phrase feeling more alive, what for you has shifted since you started the Purium Nutrients, and how has it made you feel more alive? How has it made you feel more energetic? Maybe on a physical level, maybe on a mental level, an emotional level, perhaps even a spiritual level. So I would really love to open the call now to any of you that want to share or reflect on this topic of aliveness and maybe what you've experienced so far with the Purium superfoods. So anybody feel like sharing today?
I can share.
Hey, Gooch.
Hi. I'm going to share because I had to get up and go to Gunnison. I had a big cantaloupe juice and I haven't had a green juice yet today. And I'm like looking so forward to just that, that feeling when you haven't had one yet and you like want to guzzle it and you keep it in your mouth because your body's just like, yeah, that feels so good. And I don't want to eat dinner tonight. I want to, because I'm going to go dancing and I want to just have like full life energy. And I know I'm going to get it. And that's why I'm grateful for that. What
Yeah,
would
I would agree. I can like feel it. I'm to the point, the more your body starts becoming receptive to nutrients and the more sensitive you become to like the awareness of your body, it's true. Like I can literally put the power shake in my mouth and feel like, oh my gosh, it's alive. Because that food is alive, the enzymes are alive. And I too, Gooch, when I want to go dancing or have more energy, like I'm not going to run and eat a big meal. I'm going to ingest superfoods because I know they're going to give me the energy I need to sustain that. So yeah, I love that you've had that experience. Anyone else want to share on this topic?
Hey, hey, I'm happy to share. I love this conversation and this topic. And you said so many beautiful things, one of which was something along the lines of just removing anything that is in the way of you being you or your most vibrant self. I'm not sure how you said it, but I loved it. And yeah, I'm so grateful for these superfoods for all those reasons. Just feel the passion in my life, the vibrancy, getting back to all the things that bring me so much joy. And it definitely has been a homecoming for me. So I'm super grateful. And what you shared about the education of the ATP, it's such a good conversation. It's so important and it's so real. It is something you feel. You feel at a cellular level of really feeling alive versus feeling depleted.
Yeah, and I think it's an important conversation because I hear this term a lot where people just say, well, it's just part of getting older, right? I mean, and sure, there's some truth to that in terms of our bodies have had more use in these things, but really it's not even about that. It's about are your cells getting more energy? Do they have the ATP or are they converting to ATP to have that cellular energy? And so it's not really a conversation about, oh, just getting older. It's just a conversation about are we feeding ourselves and thinking thoughts and doing things that are adding to this cellular restoration, right? And there's many fascinating individuals that I follow on Instagram that are, in their 80s, even some in their 90s, and it's almost like they're reverse aging. Like their energetic level is so high, and they'll go into talking about what they do on a daily basis to really put in their body that cellular fuel to live that happy life. So, Emily, I see you want to share.
Yes, please. Thank you. When I listening to you talk here, Mary Beth, when I was first introduced to Purium, I had just kept getting this message back to nature, back to self. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it because I am not someone who can grow my own food. And I as soon as Purium came into my life, I'm like, this was what it was. And I still didn't know. You don't know until you experience it. And I really didn't expect much because I ate pretty well, and um, I will never forget, I was teaching back-to-back fitness classes, and I felt there were times where I was apologetic for the energy that I just could not drum up. Caffeine was no longer going to get me there. And I got started on Purium, and it was just month, maybe 6 weeks. And I remember yelling, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm 20." And for those of you who don't know me, my daughters are 20, so I'm not. And yeah, also really tuning into what is right for my body and what isn't. I really struggled with that. And Purium has brought me back home to myself in that as well. So very grateful.
Awesome, Emily. And yeah, it's not always like it doesn't always look the same for everyone, the journey of coming home to
Right.
ourselves. But I love hearing the different experiences. And if any of you were on Dave's call the other night, he was kind of talking about, the ULT and this journey of transformation through food. It's like a roller coaster. Like sometimes it has its ups and downs. Sometimes we're scared as we get started. Sometimes there's those moments of complete exhilaration and full body sensation, right? And so it's really
Hmm.
just about like enjoying the ride and being as aware as you can during the ride, because everyone's journey is going to look different. But I think the ultimate goal for all of us that are drawn to Purium and for Purium as a whole is to reach that, that state of vitality like nature and to mimic that vitality as much in our food as we do in our interactions with each other. So thanks for sharing that, Emily. Laura Gooch, you have one more comment? I know, trying to find the mute button on the
There it
phone.
is.
There it
Okay.
is.
Sorry about that. I wanted to have a question actually for Emily. She said it was 4 to 6 weeks. Was she doing the transformation? Because I'm one of those people, like as my first gulp, I knew. I was like, I need this, but she said it was like 6 weeks before she had more energy. So I was just curious if that was like twice a day.
Yeah, I was doing the ULT, and I think it's just a matter like Mary Beth just shared, where our state of our body is when we start. I've watched my different clients and how they respond, and it really varies body to body. But I also wasn't ready to change my diet yet, even though it was very organic and clean. I admit I was pretty addicted to sugar, and as that went away and I just started, I really was patient, gradual, and curious, I guess, as I went through that journey. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, there's foods that give us cellular energy and help us create ATP, but refined sugars is one of the things that actually drains cellular energy from our cells. A lot of stimulants and caffeine even, it can give us that immediate spike, but it's not ATP creating. So it's actually almost draining it from us. So yeah, it's a journey of figuring out, okay, what is really adding to that energy stored in my body and isn't just like a band-aid effect, and what is truly truly nourishing. And it also depends on how we come into this journey in terms of the level of chronic stress that our body might be under. I know many, many people that have come to this journey eating really well, taking pretty good care of themselves, but they've been in an acute stage of chronic stress for many, many years. And so it takes the body time to adjust and to, reacclimate to that state of vitality because of that chronic stress. So it really does matter. But excuse me, like you said, Emily, where people are coming from. Anastasia.
Hi, I'd love to share my experience over the last couple of weeks, especially this is like day, I don't know, 33, 34 for me on the ultimate transformation. And I got low in my all of my supplements. And so I was taking less and less until like now I'm out of Biomedic. My box comes tomorrow. And so I've been out of Biomedic and this sleepy time for a few days now, and I noticed right away. Um, I noticed that I was waking up less rested, basically on day two of not having the sleepy time, um, and not having two shakes a day. I
Oh, dang, it looks like we lost Anastasia. Our service might have dropped. Let's see. Okay, well, maybe she can jump back on with us, but I kind of think I get where she was going is she can notice immediately now that she doesn't have the nutrients. And I say that all the time for people. If you're not like feeling the instant vitality of the superfoods and the energy that many of us do feel right away, sometimes it's a matter of like not taking them for a few days, and then your body's like, whoa. I really feel a difference. And I came into this lifestyle eating really healthy, thinking I was super healthy. And that was what it took for me was just like Anastasia, I ran out for a couple days before my next shipment came in. And that's when I really noticed, oh my gosh, like I didn't think it was helping me that much, but it really is. It's just so subtle. I didn't even notice it. But when I take it away, I can tell that my cells aren't functioning at the same level. They're not being given the same raw minerals and raw materials that they are when I'm on it. So, Anastasia, if you can hear me, I'm glad your box is coming in the next couple days. Um, all right. Well, that was kind of the conversation I had for today. Is there anyone else that would like to add any final thoughts to this conversation of aliveness? I will also say it's not just the superfoods that create this aliveness in the body. When you're thinking about, what you eat alongside your superfoods, thinking of, really hydrating foods. Water is one of the most vital life forces that we have, right? So really hydrating fruits and vegetables alongside your superfoods. Even more raw foods have a lot of vitality in them. So pairing the superfoods with kind of other energetically full foods can help you amplify the effect as well. So it's definitely organic. I see Emily saying organic. Organic is a huge component because foods that are conventional often have a lot of herbicides and pesticides and even other chemicals in them that are definitely not helping your body create that cellular fuel or energy. They're not the raw materials it needs for that. So, um, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. We are here every week. I know my sister Rita is leading next week. I'm not sure what her topic will be, but we truly appreciate you all coming weekly and just being in this community more than anything, having 20 minutes to just share in a space where we're with like minds, where we're learning together, where we're uplifting each other, uplifting our lives, and just talking about superfoods and health. I really enjoy it. So, I do want to give in the chat, we have a really fun superfood smoothie summer guide. So as because you're on this call, I'm going to drop it in the chat and then you can access that. But it also gives a lot of great ideas for the summer and just vital living recipes as we move into these hot days. So, all right, everyone, you have a great day. Thanks for being here.